Hey guys, doing a review of Nightmares and Dreamscapes by Stephen King. It's a collection of short stories, most of them of the horror variety, though not all of them are. Some of the highlights include a story called Popsy, which is about a guy who kidnaps little kids because he owes a huge gambling debt to this Turkish guy who's not such a pleasant character. He finds a particular target in a mall, kidnaps him, only to be rescued by the boy's Popsy, who turns out to be a blood-sucking vampire-type creature. Speaking of vampires, there's another story in the book called The Night Flyer, which is about a guy who works for a tabloid who is investigating a guy who has murdered several people in airports and who is a vampire with a pilot's license. Another story highlight is called Dolan's Cadillac, about a guy who is seeking revenge for a man who killed his wife several years ago and goes to very exaggerated lengths to do so in the Nevada desert. And then some of the stories are just straight out strange. Chattery Teeth is a story about a guy in the desert who buys a pair of novelty wind-up teeth at Chatter. He picks up a hitchhiker who turns out to be a thug who tries to kill him, and the teeth basically kill the hitchhiker. There's another story called The Moving Finger, which is about a guy who is one day encounters a finger scratching around out of the drain of his bathroom, and eventually gets into an all-out war with it as it grows several feet long, and he tries to kill it with a pair of shearing blades. Yeah. Another story in the book is called The House on Maple Street. It's my personal favorite. It's science fantasy. It's about these kids who lived in England for a while, and their mother married their stepfather, who's this jackass of an English professor of history, and he's such a dickwad. And they find that there is metal painting behind the walls of their house, and wires and stuff start growing more and more, and they figure out more and more that it's actually like a spaceship inside the house, and basically they launch the stepfather into orbit. There's an interesting nonfiction piece called Head Down, which he wrote about his son's baseball team. There's a poem called Brooklyn August, which is an ode to baseball. There is a story called You Know They Have a Hell of a Band, which is about a couple going through a small town who happens to have a ghosts or spirits of famous rockers like Janis Joplin. It's an interesting book. It's long. It has several stories, and they're all good. I highly recommend it. One, if you just like short stories, but two, if you like Stephen King in general. It's short stories are definitely hit and miss with him, but I feel like this particular collection is some of his better short stories. Not much else I can say except I highly recommend it, especially for Stephen King fans. And the ones I mentioned are some of my favorites. There's others too that are pretty good. Anyway, hope you like it, and hope you check it out. So that's all. Later.